Super Mario Maker 2 is freaking amazing, and I'm going to tell you why right now. I cannot begin to tell you all how freaking pumped up I am for Super Mario Maker 2. The original Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo Wii U was probably my absolute favorite game on the Wii U. I got completely addicted to it. I was addicted to making levels. I was addicted to playing levels. The game was just incredible, incredible fun. I made several levels. They were all, well, most of them were very, very, very difficult. If you want to see some of the levels that I've made, I do have a few videos that I posted in the earlier days of the channel, so be sure and check those out, and you will see some more Super Mario Maker content in the future. But I just love the game so much, and for the sequel, they're doing it right. They're taking everything that was great in the first game, bringing it back, listening to almost all the fan suggestions, like adding slopes to the game, and they're adding so much new content to the game that this package we're going to be getting for 60 bucks is going to be insane. The Super Mario Maker 2 Direct was this past Wednesday on May 15th, and it was an amazing Direct. It was 17 minutes long, and it was just absolutely jam-packed with information about the game, which releases on June 28th for $59.99. And I'm going to go over some of the information that was in the Direct, and I'm going to kind of tell you all the stuff that I'm the most excited for. And I just want to share my excitement with everybody for this game, because it's going to be incredible. It's going to blow up on YouTube. It's going to blow up on streaming. I cannot wait to see some of the creative levels that people come up with, as well as seeing what I might be able to come up with. And also, my editor is going to make some levels for me to play too, so that should be pretty interesting, because he sort of likes to troll people, so he's probably going to make trolling levels. But anyways, let's get into the list of some of the features that are going to be in the game. And you'll have to excuse me, but I do have an actual list in front of me that I'm going to read off of so that I don't forget anything. I'm getting old. So let's get started. So, first thing, we have slopes. Slopes first made their appearance in Mario, I believe in Super Mario Bros. 3, and then they were, of course, in Super Mario World and games going forward. And the fact that we didn't have slopes in the first game was probably one of the biggest complaints that people had. They really wanted slopes, and we're getting slopes. So there's going to be really steep slopes as well as gentle slopes. So yeah, I know it sounds simple, but the simple addition of slopes alone is going to add a lot to the game as far as creating levels. We also have the Angry Sun from Super Mario Bros. 3. Those of you who have played Super Mario Bros. 3 like me, you remember that sun from the desert world, and that thing would chase you all through the level, and it was pretty relentless, and it was pretty terrifying at times. So I'm glad to see that make an appearance in the game. We also have snake blocks, and you can define the path that the snake block moves as well as its speed. They're also adding an on-off switch to the game, and this is the first thing that I'm super excited for in the game. So it's a block that you can hit to turn it in the on position and the off position. And the initial thing that you can connect it to are red and blue blocks, and when you turn it on, the blue blocks disappear, the red blocks appear, or it might be vice versa. At any rate, when you hit the switch, red blocks are going to disappear, blue blocks are going to appear. You hit it again, blue blocks are going to disappear, red blocks are going to appear. Again, I know it sounds simple, but the stuff people are going to be able to do with this simple mechanic is going to be insane. I cannot wait to see what people come up with. There's going to be some really cool puzzle levels. There's going to be just so much creative stuff that comes from that one simple thing they're adding to the game. You can also attach on-off switch to tracks to make the tracks change and swap around. You can also attach them to conveyor belts to make the conveyor belts change direction. So that's really cool. They're adding a seesaw to the game that, depending on what side of the seesaw you're on, it'll tilt in one direction or the other. Second thing I'm really excited for is the swinging claw. This is not something that's ever made an appearance in a Mario game before, to my knowledge. It's a brand new part and mechanic in the game. Basically, you jump onto the claw and Mario attaches to it, and you can swing back and forth, and you can use your momentum to fling Mario off the claw. So I could see people doing some really cool stuff with that, and I've actually got a few level ideas in my head right now involving that one mechanic, so I'm pretty pumped for that. Next up, in the water levels, you can actually set the water level where you want it to be, And you can also, if you don't want the water to just be still, you can actually make it rise and fall at 3 different speeds, and I thought that was really cool. And in addition to that, you can actually swap the water for lava, so you can make lava levels. And not only can you make lava levels, but you can make lava levels that rise and fall. So that's going to I have a feeling people are going to come up with some pretty difficult levels using the lava, so I can't wait to check that out. Another cool thing is they have introduced custom scrolling, so you can actually define the direction that you want the screen to scroll in. And you can also pick the speed. I think there's 2 different speeds to choose from. Because, you know, in like Super Mario Bros. 3 and a lot of the other Mario games that have scrolling levels, the levels would actually, they wouldn't just scroll automatically from left to right. They would actually change direction, and now you're going to be able to do that in Super Mario Maker, which is really cool. The next thing, and this is another thing that I'm super excited for, more so than a lot of the other stuff on the list, is the fact that you can now do vertical sub areas in the game. In the original Super Mario Maker for the Wii U, the only way to do vertical sub areas was to, you know, you had a limited amount of verticality that you could utilize on the actual drawing board. I don't know what else to call it, so I'm gonna call it a drawing board. You had to actually, if you wanted it to appear more vertical, you actually had to connect different sections by pipes to make it appear as though you're still going up, but in reality, it's just different sections. But in this game, you will actually be able to create true vertical sub areas, and that's going to be really cool. Next up, they have made it a little bit easier to stop the screen from scrolling if you want to make like hidden rooms and stuff like that. You simply place blocks from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, and the screen will not scroll past that. So that's pretty cool, because that was always kind of a thing that was difficult to do in the original Mario Maker. I'm glad that they fixed that for this one. Next up is the giant bullet bill enemy called Bonsai Bill. There's 2 variations, a black and a red. The black Bonsai Bill, you can define which direction he moves in, up, down, left, or right. And the red Bonsai Bill, he actually homes in on Mario, so that's pretty cool. Next thing on the list that I'm actually really excited for is a new power-up. It's called the Dry Bone Shell, I believe. Basically, Mario hops into this dry bone shell, and you can hop around on it, and you can actually safely traverse across water as long as you have this shell. In addition to that, if you stay still for a moment, Mario will crumble or something in like a dry bones, and he'll be invincible for a short moment, so that's pretty cool. Not really sure what people are going to be able to come up with that, but I'm telling you, there are some freaking creative people out there, and they will come up with some cool stuff using all these mechanics. Next up, another cool thing you can do is you can add 10 coin, 30 coin, and 50 coin. So if you grab, you know, like the 30 coin, if you get it, you get 30 coins right off the bat. So I would imagine people are going to place those in difficult parts of the level to try to incentivize you to get more coins. So that's pretty cool. That's probably going to come into play on the multiplayer, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Next up, there's new sound effects and screen effects. Those are fun to play around with. You can actually create levels cooperatively just by handing a Joy-Con to somebody next to you, and you can create levels together. So that's pretty cool that they added that. The next thing that I'm super excited for, and actually this is one of the coolest, to me, one of the coolest new additions of the game, is there are actually you can actually create clear conditions to the game. So instead of just having to get to the end of the level, you can actually create, you know, you can do things like you have to get a certain number of coins in order to beat the level, or you have to defeat a certain number of enemies to beat the level, or you have to reach the end of the level with a certain power-up. So that's really cool because it adds more variety to the game. Instead of just having to get from point A to point B, it kind of gives you an objective that you have to reach in the middle. And I think the one that I'll probably end up using the most is collecting a certain number of coins to make it to the end of the level. Next up, they've added twisters to the game that kind of suck Mario. If I ever say that again, I want you to punch me in the face.
Not a problem.
Enemies in and fling you around. They've also added icicles that will fall when you run under them. They have added the ability to make a conveyor belt go diagonally. And by the way, if you hear my freaking corgi outside barking, I do apologize.
Yeah, I got some of it too.
I have no control over that, and he's a little brat, but I love him. You can also, there's also a red Yoshi in the game, and red Yoshi breathes fire, so that's really cool. And then we've got parachutes that you can attach to enemies and items and things like that to make them fall from the screen slower. There's a new enemy boss character they've added to the game called Boom Boom. He just kind of runs side to side, swinging his fists wildly, but you know what? More enemy and boss variety is pretty cool. Next up is the next addition to the game that I'm super excited for, and that is story mode. So they've actually added a full-fledged story mode to the game, single-player story mode, which is great because it gives players something to do when they're not connected to the internet. It gives them plenty of levels to play and things to keep themselves busy with, and it's just more content added to the game. So basically, in this story mode, you're trying to rebuild Princess Peach's castle. And in order to do that, you have to collect coins. And in order to collect coins, you take on jobs and missions from different characters, at which point you play a level. And when you defeat the level, you get coins, and you use the coins to build the castle up. Now, the cool thing about this is there are over 100 levels in this story mode, all original levels created by Nintendo. Now, people that are interested in making levels in this game, you're going to want to play the story mode because it's also going to be a way for you to see how all these mechanics and parts in the game work together. In turn, that will give you ideas for the levels that you want to create. So that's really cool. I cannot wait to dig into that. It's probably the first thing I'm going to do when I play the game, honestly, is try to start playing story mode. Next up, another thing I'm super excited for, and that is new themes to the game. So we have the desert theme, the snow theme, the forest theme, and the sky theme. And all of those themes have newly composed music, which actually all the newly composed music that I heard in the direct sounded incredible. Can't wait to listen to those some more and play around with these themes. Now, the great thing about having such a variety of themes in this game is a lot of people like to make levels that are influenced by TV shows and books and other video games and movies. And by having more variety of the background and the themes of the objects that you can use in the game, that will enable you to be able to sort of create Mario levels that are clearly influenced by different things in the pop culture world. So that's really awesome. Another cool thing they added to the game is every single theme has a nighttime version. And the cool thing about this is not only does the nighttime version have a graphical effect by making it nighttime, but it also, every single theme has a mechanic that's added if you use the nighttime version of the level. So for the ground theme, Goombas will float. For the underground theme, it becomes upside down, so you're controlling Mario upside down. The ghost house theme, the lights dim and kind of shrink in on Mario so that you can't see what's around you very well. In the sky theme, gravity is lowered as if you're on the moon. In the desert theme, there's a sandstorm that will rage from time to time that kind of pushes Mario around. In the snow theme, the terrain becomes very slippery, making it hard to maneuver. In the forest theme, the water turns into poison. It's just another awesome thing they've added to add even more variety to the courses that you get to create and play from other players. Another thing that I'm super excited for is the Super Mario 3D World theme. Now, this theme is completely separate from the others. In the other four themes, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros., you can swap those around. So if you create a level in one style, you can immediately switch to another style, but you cannot do that with the Super Mario 3D World style. If you choose to make a world in that style, that's the style the level is going to be in. It's really cool because Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U was a fantastic game. I hope they port it to the Switch, and I know a lot of you out there can't stand Wii U ports, but I personally love them. Anyways, so the Super Mario 3D World, it has a lot of its own unique parts and mechanics. I'm going to read some of those off to you now. You have clear pipes, you have Cat Mario, you have crates, which are pretty cool because you can pick the crates up and throw them and move across water and lava by jumping on the crates that you've thrown. I have a feeling people are going to do some pretty creative things with crates. There's warp boxes, there's spike blocks, there's blinking blocks where every few seconds it'll blink out and the other block will blink on, so you have to time your jumps. There's mushroom trampolines, which I am probably going to make an entire level that's just nothing but mushroom trampolines. That sounds fun. But the coolest thing, in my opinion, is the Koopa Troopa car. You get in this car and you can ride around on the level. So I have a feeling people are going to make some Mario Kart themed levels using that car, and I can't wait to check some of that out. There's also a mode called Endless Challenge mode where you endlessly play levels on whatever difficulty you choose until you run out of lives. And I assume if you get lives in the level, that'll add to your life count, and you just see how far you can go. And there's leaderboards, so you can get points and try to rise to the top of the leaderboards by making it as far as possible. And the levels that you play are from the entire pool of levels that are created by the community. Actually, this is the last thing on the list, and another thing that I'm super excited for, and that is competitive and cooperative multiplayer with up to 4 people online, and I think there's some offline to that as well. But basically, you can get online and you can play competitively against 3 other players where you're all racing to try to make it to the end of the level, and you can of course jump on each other and sabotage each other as you go on. And it just looks like an absolute blast. Like, I cannot wait to play this mode and race other people online, because when you win, your win to loss ratio causes you to get a score, and you'll go up like ranks. So there's a ranking system to that, and you can try to rise to the top of the ranks. And I have a feeling I'm going to be very competitive in this, and I'm probably going to play it quite a bit to try to rise in the ranks against people. But there's some people out there that are really good at video games, so I'm not sure how well that will go. But you can also play levels cooperatively with people, where as long as at least one person reaches the goal, then everybody wins. So it's really cool that they added this, because it just adds even more variety to the game. And man, Super Mario Maker 2, I'm just so pumped for this game. So pumped. You can expect some content for Super Mario Maker 2 on the channel once the game is released. As a matter of fact, I took off work the day that it's released, and I'm going to be recording footage all day long. Be expecting quite a few Super Mario Maker 2 videos in the future. And that is all I have for you today about Super Mario Maker 2. Super excited for the game, and I hope you are too. And as a matter of fact, let me know in the comments down below if you are excited about Super Mario Maker 2. And also let me know in the comments down below what new features or new mechanics or new parts in Super Mario Maker 2 you're most excited for. This is going to be one of the best Nintendo Switch games of 2019, at least in my opinion. And it has immediately become my most anticipated game of the year. And to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that to happen, but that direct just blew me away, and I'm just so excited for this. So, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button. It helps out quite a bit. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and joining the RetroWolf88 family, because we've got a lot of cool stuff planned in the future, and I would love for you to come with me on this YouTube journey. Until next time, keep playing games and having a good time. I'll see you all in the next video.